the stream on my phone. Give this a little stir while I'm waiting for the link to pop up. And of course, now my phone wants to freeze while it's loading it up. Alrighty, there we go. So basically, hot process soap, it's a little bit shorter to make than cold process. It makes the bar look a little bit more rugged and all that kind of stuff. But it's going to be ready to use in like a week as opposed to about 3 months, so I do this process because it makes it a lot easier for my lazy self. We got our oils melted. I got them melted before the stream because I don't want to give away any trade secrets of my recipe or anything like that. But I left the lye for you guys. Move this out of the way. So for lye mixing, this is just distilled water. I've got the lye sitting off here. You need gloves, a face mask, and some kind of eye protection to do this, but I don't have any of those right now, because I'm a terrible human being, so I'm just going to do this without gloves, and don't do this at home. Especially if you're a first-time soap maker, definitely do not mix lye without gloves. Because if this stuff gets on your skin, it starts turning your skin into soap, and I've had that happen before, and it's not fun. Woo, people coming in. Also, when you're mixing this, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a crazy amount of steam coming off of this thing. You do not want to get any of that steam in your mouth. It's going to be just terrible. Also, the great thing about hot process is with cold process you gotta wait till the lye mixture and the oils and everything all get down to the same temperature to mix them together. And that just takes way too long as well. I mean, with hot process, you can have this hot, you can have that hot, you mix it all together because at the end it's all going to be hot and it's going to get toasty and all cooked together and everything. Alright, in this little red bucket, I got it from Dollar Tree. Beautiful little thing. We got our oils in there. It's going to be a lime scented soap. And I've also got the mica in there because just mixing them together makes it a whole lot easier for my process. I'm going to let that cool down for 2 hot seconds. We got a cat coming up. Go on. Run away, little sweetie. There we go. Twitch is messing up. It keeps showing like a 1-minute clip of me stirring stuff and then cuts off. And I'm like, I know I'm streaming live. I know there's people. Alrighty. And then you don't want to touch your lye spoon. I just chuck it straight in the sink and then I'm going to wash that in a second. Also, lye eats through metal, so make sure that your sink, it's not going to eat through it. For whatever reason, my sink is metal, but my spoon has never eaten through it or anything like that. Alright. Then we're going to get a stick blender. Get all the bubbles out from underneath it. This is going to be pretty loud, so if you've got headphones on, you're definitely going to want to mute the stream. Or actually, I can just mute the mic right now so I don't make anybody go deaf, and then I'll unmute it once that's done. Alrighty, now that we got that mixed up a little bit, it's saponifying now. Basically all the lye is turning the oil into actual soap. So I'm just going to sit here for a second and watch it do its thing, and it's going to eventually thicken up into like a pudding consistency, if you want to call it that. Which, that point, I'm going to test a little bit of the color in there, see if it's going to actually hold the green. If it is, I'm going to dump the essential oils and all of the colors in. If not, then I'm going to wait till the end when the soap is all done cooking and then dump it in, because normally it lasts a lot longer that way. But while we're waiting for that to go, I made this soap last night, and I'm going to pop it out of the mold so I can get the molds ready for this batch. This batch of soap right here is a Kentucky bourbon scented one, and I've got some sea salt scattered on top of it. right up out of there. I also put a bit of a mica line on the inside of it with some gold sparkle, and I'm going to see if that actually can hold up in hot process soap, because I've never actually tried it before. Looks nice on the sides. Go. And we're going to use our little homemade soap cutter. I ran out of strings when making it, because I'm just using, where's the thing? I'm just basically using guitar wire and some little eyelet hooks that I found at a craft store. And then my friend gave me some wood already pre-made into a little square, and I just stuck those on there. It works pretty well, but at the same time, once business picks up, I'll actually go out and buy a legit soap cutter. Then just push that straight down. Then we get our little butt that we throw away. Push the strings down to make sure that they go all the way through. Oh, that actually came out pretty cool. It's kind of hard to see, but it's got a little gold mica line there on the inside. And this is a Kentucky bourbon scent again, so this is going to be a really good manly smell. If you don't like crazy girly freak smells, this is going to be a good one for you. Come on now. Get all of my streaming cords out of the way. Also, one thing I like to do, I found this stamp at AC Moore, and all you gotta do is push it down into the soap as soon as it's fresh cut, and you get a nice little message on there. Probably kind of hard to see, but now you get a little homemade with love on there. I'll probably also take a damp cloth at some point and clean up that gold on the edge, because that's going to get all over the place here in a hot second. It's getting all over my thumb already. And if you need to, wash your stamp off in between stamps. Okay, it's getting a little thicker, not quite up to trace yet. this in the soaping cabinet, and that'll cure for a couple weeks till I post those on Etsy. There we go. Just gonna put that over here. Also, you can put your soap just straight in the oven. You don't have to turn the oven on, but it makes a nice insulator. And then I'm going to mute this again for 2 seconds so I can stir this up. Alright, that's still at about a thin trace. No, it's not even a thin trace. Trace is basically, I use the this thing right here to test trace, but if it leaves any kind of markings or anything, when the soap hits back to itself, that's called trace, and you want it to get like to a thick trace so you can definitely see some kind of bits leaving behind and making a little pattern. But right now, it's not even up to trace yet, even though it's getting kind of thick. So in that case, I'll cut up the other bar. And if I do another live stream tomorrow making another batch, I'll probably cut up this one that we're making right now. But this one I made yesterday, so it's ready to come out of the mold. If I can get the tape off of here. There we go. See, the fun part about soap making is making it out of your apartment because you don't have any space for anything. Also, I kind of like the mica line in this one. It's a lot more coherent than the last one. Also, another cool thing about hot process, it's probably really hard to see on the camera, but the color always comes out kind of swirly. Probably a little hard to see, but I think it's pretty neat. Normally with cold process you can get like 100% the color that you want, but hot process is always a crazy journey trying to get the color you want. I basically just don't question it anymore. However it comes out is how it comes out. Alrighty, back to this soap. Alright, I'm gonna mute you again so I don't rupture your eardrums. Alright, it looks like it's coming up to trace now. Oh yeah. Okay, so now I'm gonna test the batch here. See if it wants to maybe keep color at this. Sometimes it goes gray if you put your colors in around here, but it doesn't do it for reds with me for whatever reason. So let's see if pouring a little in is going to do anything. I always do a couple little drops, that way if it changes colors it's not going to ruin the end batch too much. I'll mute you again. looks like that green's gonna keep, so I can probably put the fragrance oils and the green in right now, and it should stay that way. Whew, that smells very limey. Ooh, that's a really nice green. Also doing hot process soap, you're going to get an incredible upper body workout. This stuff gets thick and hard to stir. Okay, now that it's getting thicker, it's time to pull out the big boy spatula. Alright, while that's cooking for a bit, I'm going to scoot that back. And I'm going to get these lined and ready to go. Also, I'm going to clean up my mess a little. Great thing about white epoxy countertops is that it literally absorbs everything. Not epoxy, acrylic, but yeah. Also, if you're going to line your molds, this is parchment paper. Do not use wax paper. For whatever reason, it gets absorbed into your soap and it's a nightmare to peel off. Also, I do this the lazy way. I just kind of hold it on here and I cut up the sides where this piece of paper is going to fit perfectly in there. It's actually lime this time around, but the green came out really nice. I'm still live streaming. I mean, nobody's watching it, but at the same time I'm gonna cut the footage and make it into a YouTube video. That's actually the last one of that kind of peppermint that I have. Well, I linked the live stream to my actual Shiner Suds page, so if anybody loves me, then they'll say it. I'm gonna guilt trip all you people not in here watching right now. Yeah. It's gonna be hard to edit the video later. Ooh, it's volcanoing. This is why you never go far from your soap if you're doing hot process, because if I had stepped away for a second, that'd be all over the counter by now. But you just stir it down and it keeps doing its thing. Back beast. Oh. Well, that's fun. It skipped a couple of the phases of soap making. Also, I turn my crock pot off at this point just because it's almost done cooking and I don't want it to burn or anything like that. But basically when it hits this consistency, it's about done. Tape doesn't stick to this very well, but I like to try anyways, just to keep them out of the way while it's pouring. most of the time when you're hot process making, a great way to test if your soap is done is to get a little teeny bit of it, dilute it in some water, and then use a litmus test on it. But I don't have any of those, and I like to be adventurous. So another way you can test it is get a little bit, cool it down, and stick it to your tongue. And if it feels like you're licking a battery and it's got that kind of zing to it, it's not done yet, and you can't mold it. Oh yeah, that's done. Then you're just going to get a big glob of this Vaseline goodness and just plop it right in your mold. Alright, now that everybody's awake and deaf, let me find where I put my salt at. Here it is. Since this one's a lime scent one, I'm just going to douse it with salt because I think that'll make a nice little margarita type soap. With cold process soaps, you definitely need to spray it down with alcohol, like rubbing alcohol, because it's probably going to get soda ash on top of it. Hot process, you don't have to do it at all, but since I got some stuff sitting on there, I'm just going to spritz a little on just to kind of melt the salt to the top. My squirt bottle wants to work. There we go. Now that we've got those all molded up, just going to stick them straight in the oven to cure, and the oven is off. Don't want that on. all done soap making. All that's left is to clean out everything after it cools down and make sure that you unplug everything. And if you guys are interested in getting that lime soap, it's most likely going to be done in about 2 to 3 weeks, and that'll be up on our Etsy page. Thanks for joining us!